Matt Berner, you're taking a look at the Stronach 5 sequence for Friday, November the 9th. A $51,000 carryover leads into this sequence. Again, the Stronach 5 races, a pick 5 from all across the family of Stronach racetracks, 12% takeout, $1 base bet with that $51,000 carryover. Certainly a wager you're going to want to get involved in. Leg A, the first leg of this Stronach 5 sequence on Friday, is the 8th at Laurel Park. It's a $5,000 claimer. 9 winners to 2 lifetime is the level. Obviously, with a $1 base bet, sometimes depending on your budget, you got to get a little bit slim. I'm going to go real slim here. I want to go with the single on the far outside. How about the number 11 horse, When It Rains? Now, When It Rains hasn't been seen since the beginning of December 2017. So this is a lengthy layoff, but John Robb sends this one out. I recognize the numbers are pretty solid off of 180-day layoffs, are greater for Robb, right around 17% with a $3.30 ROI. Highest last out buyer in the field when breaking the maiden by 8 1/4 lengths. Again, it's a scenario where if I want to use some other horses down the road, I got to get a little bit more narrow here. Again, this is also a sequence where I would strongly suggest using some sort of form of a ticket maker play, again, emphasizing your opinions. But for this exercise, single, number 11 for me, the far outside in the opening leg, leg A of this week's Stronach 5 sequence. We move on to leg B. We go down to Gulfstream Park West, their 8th race. This is a starter allowance race, 6 furlongs on the main track. Want to use 3 horses, or mainly focus in on 3 horses, the 2, the 5, and the 7. The 2 is Spin to Gold. Spin to Gold was a maiden winner in the career debut most recently. That was a $35,000 maiden claiming event. Went out there for Joe Orsino, set the fractions, drew off, won by 2 lengths, earned a 61 buyer. It's the highest last out buyer in the field. Good early speed. There is some other speed in this race, but I do feel like there's a real scenario where this horse could actually be a pretty decent sort going forward. I like this horse in this spot. The number 5, Sky Run. This is a horse most recently broke the maiden in the 3rd lifetime start. Was going out for different connections. Now is coming in off the Gilberto Zerpa claim. Zerpa overall, first off the claim numbers, 48%. With the 239 ROI, I would strongly consider, or urge you to consider, using this horse. Even if you don't really like the horse on paper, I think just based on that raw number alone, you have to consider a horse like this, the 5, Sky Run. And the 7 is Mrs. Cruz. Mrs. Cruz most recently tried Stakes Company, going 2 turns, did not work. Relatively forwardly placed, about three lengths off the pace. There was a hot one that day. Red color-coded fractions for Timeform US. Faded badly. The runs 2 and 3 starts back, going 5.5 furlongs. Really fit this one. Can win from just off the pace as well. I think the 7, Mrs. Cruz, is one that you have to consider. 2, 5, 7 for me in the second leg of the Stronach 5. We move on to the third leg. This is leg C. It is the 9th race at Laurel Park. It's a $25,000 maiden claimer, 6 furlongs on the main track. I'm going to go 2 horses in here, 2 deep anyway, the 8 and the 11. The 8 is yesterday's plan. This is a horse coming in from Delaware, trying Laurel for the first time. Showed some speed in that most recent start and faded. That was a $40,000 maiden claimer, but was in for the waiver tag, so was not eligible to be claimed out of that. Shows up here in this spot for the $25,000 tag. I feel like this level is more indicative and more representative of where this one fits. I think she has a big chance to be forwardly placed, if not outright on the lead, and take this field gate to wire. If not her, how about the 11? This is a first-time starter called My Lady Charlotte. Goes out for Anthony Ferrier. You got Sheldon Russell aboard. Sydney's Candy, about 12% with the 2-year-old first-time starters. The dam was graded stakes placed. She's been very productive. There have been a number of horses that she has thrown that have gone on to do good things. No monsters in there, but solid winners, and I think that's an important piece in a race like this. We'll find out. Again, you only see 2 published works on here, September the 5th and September the 30th, and we're starting on November the 9th, but at the same time, this field a little bit hungry at this point. If it's not the 8, I think it could be an interesting opportunity for a first-time starter with the 11, My Lady Charlotte. 8-11 for me in the third leg of the Stronach 5 sequence. Move on to the fourth leg, leg D, excuse me. Back to Gulfstream West. $16,000 claiming, non-winners of 2 lifetime, a mile on the turf course. Going to focus in on 2 horses. Most notably, I'm going to focus in on the 4 horse, though, Coniston. This is a horse most recently showed some speed in a beaten claiming $16,000 level event and just got nipped at the wire, lost by a head. That was the first start against winners. 2 starts back, this horse went in gate to wire fashion, got the job done with a 64 buyer. The buyers and the Timeform ratings make this horse Coniston a legitimate player, and you get Paco Lopez aboard. You know where this horse is going to be, out there winging it on the front end. If this one can't wire the field, how about an interesting sort of, I don't know what you're going to get for a price on a horse like this, but I think this horse might be a little bit better than perhaps the form would suggest. The 2, Mr. Chaplin. Mr. Chaplin most recently broke the maiden in the 10th lifetime start. It was the first start over the Gulfstream Park West turf course. Rallied from off the pace, won by 2 3/4 lengths, earned a 91 raw time form US rating and a 65 Beyer speed figure. The reason I'm most interested in this horse, though, go through and look. You can make a case that this horse has just been dirtied up all along. 2 and 3 starts back, going shorter distances, one of them on the main track, one of them a 5 furlong dash. 4 starts back was the last route on turf, came at Gulfstream Park, and that was against $50,000 maiden claimers, so significantly more difficult company. Prior to that, tried 5/8 on the grass, and prior to that was with 3 different connections for the first 4 or 5 lifetime starts. There's a part of me that thinks this horse might actually be okay, and guess what? The connections, the trainer, Pedro Castillo, 3 for 3 thus far with horses at this meeting. I think Mr. Chaplin is very interesting in here. So the 4th leg D of the Stronach 5 on Friday, I will go 2 deep, the 2 and the 4. If we are alive, hopefully, fingers crossed we are, we get to the final leg. This would be out at Golden Gate Fields up in Northern California, race number 4, a 5/8 dash on the turf, an allowance N1X group. 2 deep for me. I think these 2 horses are 2 of the more logical ones. So hopefully you can get some sort of a price earlier on if you do choose to spread, and you're going to use a few different horses. I'm going to use the 1 Sinnin down on the inside. This horse is just rock solid. 55 times gone out, 14 times winner. You can see on 28 other occasions has run 2nd or 3rd. Plenty to like here about Sinnin in this spot. 8 for 27 over the grass, 5 for 15 over the Golden Gate Fields turf. And then, by the way, never been out of the money in those 15 lifetime starts over at Golden Gate. I think the number 1 makes a ton of sense in here. And then how about the number 4, Elegant Tanner for John Martin? Now, I recognize that Martin's barn's a little bit chilly right now, 1 for 18. But the most recent run was a victory in an N1X group. I think this horse fits in here very well. Probably going to be positioned mid-pack, coming from 2 or 3 lengths off the pace. But I do think this one has a legitimate sort of late flurry, a late finish. I like everything that we've seen here. And perhaps just getting back up there off of a little bit of a freshening. Keep in mind, that was the first start in almost a calendar year, about 11 months. I think Elegant Tanner is one that could certainly move forward here in the second start off the bench. So I'm going to go 1-4 in the final leg of this week's Stronach 5 that happens to be at Golden Gate Fields, race number 4. Again, keep in mind, 12% takeout, $1 base bet. Oh, and by the way, a $51,000 carryover coming in to this one right here. I think there's plenty to like in this spot. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what we get. Again, scheduled post time for leg A of this week's Stronach 5 on November the 9th. Race number 8 at Laurel Park. Scheduled post time, 4:19 Eastern. Good luck.